I heard this quote once, and it's something along the lines of basically one point in your life you should push yourself to your physical and mental limits just so you know where they actually are. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently because I've been, whether intentionally or unintentionally, kind of obsessing over what I've been working on recently. And to the point where I'm getting I've probably averaged 6.5, 7 hours of sleep the last 4 days in a row. And that's like, of course you could get way less sleep. I'm not trying to flex that I'm not getting sleep because I'm working. More so what I'm saying is I said this yesterday, but I'm a sleep diva. I need sleep, or at least so I say. I like to get 8 to 9 hours. Usually 9 is optimal. And yet I was thinking about people in the World War who fought, had sleepless nights. There was combat. They would pull all-nighters all the time, and yet you see a lot of veterans, the ones who made it this far, living until they're in their late 80s, early 90s, even later. And if they were able to go through that for weeks or months at a time and get pretty much no sleep, I could imagine the nightmares and lack of sleep and the nerves and your body's constantly pumping adrenaline. They're still able to live that long. And so there's always that thing about how sleep is the most important thing for living a long and healthy life. But I find it kind of hard to believe that a short period of time or a small or short season of your life at which you don't get sleep is not something that is necessarily going to change your future. You could be argued that maybe the guys in the war could have lived to into their hundreds instead of into their 90s. But I don't really know. All of that is just to say, you're supposed to get sleep. There's things you're supposed to do. But if you do everything that you're supposed to do, you're going to be like everyone else that does everything they're supposed to do. And so my primary concern, especially with sleep and doing less of that for a while, was health and mental abilities. And of course, I am not performing nearly as well as I would with 8-9 hours of sleep. But for some parts of what I do, it doesn't require me to think critically. It just requires me to put in hours. And if that's what I need to do, then it works. And it could be argued that I would be more efficient or effective if I got more sleep, which I completely agree with. But if you're doing a type of work that is just pure labor and practice and repetition, and it doesn't require much critical thinking, something where you maybe have laid out a plan and all you have to do is execute it, and it doesn't require any thinking, you just have to do. That's the time when you could probably sacrifice a good amount of sleep to get it done. And that's what I've been experimenting with, because I hate not having sleep, and yet the last couple of days I've had great days. And it's probably not healthy in the long run, but I am now understanding that my limits are a lot farther than I thought they were. And I think that's the case for most people, and you have no clue what your limitations are mentally and physically unless you try and push them. Most people have an idea of what they're on their brains, but they don't actually know, because the idea of it in their brains is just that's their limit to what they feel like pushing to, not the limit of where they can actually go. And I would say, oh, my limits is I can only get 8 hours, 7 hours of sleep for a couple of days and then I crash and burn. That is clearly not the case. And the only reason I said it is because I don't want to not get sleep. I enjoy sleeping. Or the example of oh, my limit's working out 4 days a week. Well, you could probably do every day. Should you do every day? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your goals. Probably not, right? You need to recover. But the point is the limits that we have made up for ourselves, 9 times out of 10 aren't our actual limits. It's our fabricated limits that we've decided on is the farthest that we would want to go or be willing to go or to suffer, not actually how far we can. And there's a big difference between the two. Especially with somebody with ambition, you need to push to what you can do, not what you want to do or what you think you can do. And the whole point is pushing beyond. And that's just something I could put in, suggestion you could probably think about, put it in the front of your mind and think are you truly pushing to your limits, or are you just pushing to what you think your limits are, or what your happy limits are, where you're actually still satisfied? Or are you genuinely pushing to your limits? Do you want to push past your limits? If you don't, then don't do it. It's about wants. But if you genuinely want to push past your limits, then you got to do stuff that you can't even fathom you would usually do. And you'll surprise yourself. You have a lot more in you than than you think and more than other people think too. So something to keep in mind.